Welcome to the Unveiled Epoch Echoes channel. Today, we're diving deep into an unexplored historical mystery, one that whispers through the corridors of time like a gentle breeze, carrying secrets from forgotten realms, where the ambitions of a young boy in the misty hills of Virginia intertwined with the eternal truths of ancient sages, pulling back the veil on a life that reshaped the world's understanding of success, yet hid layers of enigma, scandal, and profound revelation that even now, in the quiet hours of night, can lull you into a peaceful slumber as you drift along the river of his extraordinary journey, beginning in the year 1883, on October 26th, in a humble log cabin nestled in the rugged Appalachian Mountains of Pound, Virginia, where Oliver Napoleon Hill entered the world amid the whispers of poverty and hardship, his cries echoing against the wooden walls that seemed to hold the weight of generations of struggle. His father, James Hill, a but distant dentist and farmer who scratched a living from the unforgiving earth, and his mother, Sarah, a beacon of quiet strength until her untimely death when Napoleon was just 9 years old, leaving a void that would shape his restless spirit, a spirit that even then, in those tender years, began to rebel against the chains of circumstance, roaming the wild forests with a capped pistol in hand, earning a reputation as a wild child, a little outlaw in the making, until his father's remarriage to Martha, a kind widow who saw potential in the boy's fiery eyes and placed a typewriter in his hands, urging him to channel that energy into words, into stories, into something greater. And so, at the age of 13, young Napoleon began his foray into journalism, scribbling reports for local newspapers, his pen becoming a sword against the dragons of ignorance and want, all while the ancient winds of destiny seemed to stir, drawing him toward truths buried in the sands of time, truths that echoed from the pyramids of Egypt and the temples of Greece, where philosophers like Plato had spoken of the power of the mind to shape reality, a forgotten wisdom that would one day ignite in Hill's soul like a hidden flame, guiding him through the shadows of his youth, where he faced the first whispers of failure, dropping out of formal schooling but devouring books in secret, educating himself in the art of business and law. Moving to attend a modest business college, his mind a sponge absorbing the principles of commerce, yet always sensing a deeper mystery, as if the ghosts of ancient alchemists were murmuring secrets of transmuting base metals into gold, not literally, but through the alchemy of thought. And by 15, he was a mountain reporter, chronicling the lives of coal miners and moonshiners, his words painting pictures of resilience in the face of adversity. But beneath it all lurked a personal storm, the loss of his mother haunting him like an unsolved riddle, pushing him to seek answers in the biographies of great men, men like Abraham Lincoln and Thomas, whose stories he would later weave into his own tapestry, though not without the twists of fate that would reveal hidden controversies. For even as he climbed, shadows gathered, whispers of embellishment in his tales, stories he told to fill the gaps in slow news weeks, fabricating adventures that blurred the line between truth and myth, a habit that would follow him like a spectral companion. And as he entered his 20s, the world opened wider, taking him to Mobile, Alabama, where he worked in lumber mills and law offices, his ambition burning like an eternal fire, drawing him into partnerships that promised riches, but often delivered lessons in betrayal, such as the ill-fated lumber venture where he vanished for months amid accusations of fraud, warrants issued for his arrest, suppliers for unpaid debts. A plot twist that left him fleeing into the night, reinventing himself once more, a pattern that echoed the ancient myths of phoenixes rising from ashes, but with a darker undercurrent of deception that historians would later uncover, hidden in dusty court records and forgotten newspapers, revealing a man who danced on the edge of legality, starting an automobile college in 1915 that collapsed under the weight of unfulfilled promises. Students demanding refunds for courses that taught more about evasion than engines, yet through these failures, Hill discovered a profound truth, one buried in the annals of forgotten Eastern philosophies, the idea that defeat is but a stepping stone, a concept akin to the Buddhist notion of impermanence, where suffering leads to enlightenment. And so he pressed on, his journalism career blossoming as he interviewed the titans of industry, or so he claimed. For here lies one of the great mysteries of his life, the fateful meeting in 1908 with Carnegie, the steel magnate whose Scottish brogue and piercing gaze allegedly challenged the young reporter during a routine interview, tasking him with a quest that would span over 20 years, to distill the essence of success from the minds of America's elite. A commission without pay, but with introductions to luminaries like Henry Ford, Thomas, and John D. Though skeptics whisper that this encounter may have been a fabrication, a hidden story pieced together after Carnegie's death in 1919, with no letters or records to confirm it, adding a layer of intrigue like a Lost from Atlantis, suggesting Hill's genius lay not just in observation, but in the art of narrative, crafting a legend that propelled him forward. And as he embarked on this odyssey, traversing the country in threadbare suits, sleeping in modest boarding houses, he delved into the lives of over 500 successful souls, patterns that resonated with ancient wisdom, principles that mirrored the Stoic teachings on persistence and decision, or the Vedic scriptures' emphasis on desire as the seed of creation, forgotten truths that Hill would resurrect in his philosophy, weaving them into a modern gospel of achievement, facing his own trials along the way, businesses crumbling like ancient ruins, a candy venture that soured, a magazine that folded amid financial scandals and personal tumults, marrying at least 5 times, his unions marked by passion and pain, from his first wife Florence, who bore him 3 sons, to later marriages fraught with infidelity and divorce, controversies that painted him as a flawed hero, a man whose public image of moral fortitude hid private indiscretions, including associations with dubious figures, and even a brief entanglement with organized crime during Prohibition, where he allegedly advised mobsters on mindset, a hidden chapter that added danger to his narrative, like a detective novel unfolding in real time. Yet through it all, his research deepened, influenced by the industrial giants who shared their secrets, Ford's relentless innovation echoing the alchemical pursuit of perfection, 1,000 failures revealing the mystery of persistence as a divine force, and Carnegie's own philosophy of giving back, rooted in the ancient Celtic lore of stewardship, all converging in Hill's mind as he synthesized these insights over 2 decades, battling doubt and poverty, his family often on the brink, until the climax arrived in 1928 with the publication of The Law of Success, a sprawling tome outlining 15 principles. But it was the Great Depression's shadow in 1937 that birthed his masterpiece, Think and Grow Rich, a book that sold millions, its 13 steps a ladder to fortune, starting with desire. That burning want akin to the fire Prometheus stole from the gods. Then faith, the visualization of belief that ancient shamans used in rituals to manifest reality, autosuggestion whispering affirmations like Egyptian incantations, to the subconscious, specialized knowledge drawing from the libraries of Alexandria's lost wisdom, imagination as the workshop of the gods, organized planning like the strategic maps of ancient generals, decision to cut through hesitation as Solomon divided truth from falsehood, persistence the unyielding force that carved canyons through mountains over, the power of the mastermind, that alliance of souls mirroring the secret societies of the Knights Templar, guarding esoteric knowledge, the mystery of sex transmutation, channeling primal energy as tantric mystics did in hidden Himalayan caves, the subconscious mind as a gateway to the infinite, the brain a broadcasting station tuned to cosmic frequencies like the oracles of Delphi, and the sixth sense, that intuitive whisper from beyond, connecting to the great school of masters, Spirits Hill claimed visited him in visions, revealing forgotten truths from Atlantis and beyond, a controversial revelation that blurred the lines between philosophy and the occult. And amid this triumph, he pennied Outwitting the Devil in 1938, a daring dialogue with the adversary himself, exposing fear and procrastination as tools of darkness, but deemed too scandalous, It lay hidden for 70 years, published only in 2011, its pages echoing the Gnostic Gospel's battle between light and shadow. While Hill's personal life unraveled further, failures mounting like plot twists, a charity embezzlement scandal in the 1940s where funds meant for education vanished into personal pockets, associations with the Royal Fraternity of Master Metaphysicians, Occult in Long Island, led by James B., who used Think and Grow Rich as their Bible, attempting to raise an immortal baby through metaphysical means, a bizarre episode where Hill and his wife Lee briefly joined, adopting children in a quest for eternal youth, only to flee amid public outcry and legal scrutiny, controversies that added layers of mystery, suggesting Hill's philosophy into forbidden knowledge, perhaps from ancient grimoires or lost civilizations, his later years spent in South, too. Founding the Napoleon Hill Foundation, writing more books like Grow Rich with Peace of Mind, where he openly spoke of ethereal visitors, the unseen watchers guiding humanity, a confession that hinted at deeper initiations, until his death on November 8, 1970, at age 87, leaving a legacy that endures, his ideas fueling modern movements like the law of attraction, inspiring billions to harness the mind's power, proving that in a world of fleeting trends, his principles still matter today because they reconnect us to the timeless dance of thought and reality, reminding us that success is not mere chance, but a deliberate creation, woven from the threads of ancient mysteries rediscovered, offering solace in their certainty as you drift deeper into restful dreams. An unexplored historical mystery unfolds in the quiet dawn of October 26, 1883, when Oliver Napoleon Hill drew his first breath in a weathered one-room log cabin perched on the misty slopes of Pound, Virginia, deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, where the ancient whispers of the earth seem to echo through the dense forests of oak and hickory, carrying forgotten secrets from Celtic druids who once roamed similar rugged lands across the ocean. Secrets of resilience and inner power that would one day infuse his very philosophy, though at that tender moment, the world around him was one of stark poverty. His father, James Hill, scratching out a meager existence as an unlicensed dentist and occasional moonshiner, pulling teeth with crude tools under the dim light of kerosene lamps while tending to a small farm that yielded more rocks than crops, and his mother, Sarah Blair Hill, a woman of quiet endurance whose lineage traced back to English immigrants who had crossed stormy seas in 1847, seeking fortune, but finding only hardship, her gentle hands weaving clothes from homespun cloth as she dreamed of a better life for her son. Yet tragedy struck like a hidden curse from some ancient folklore when Sarah succumbed to illness in 1892, leaving 9-year-old Napoleon adrift in a sea of grief, his wild spirit untamed. Roaming the hills with a loaded revolver strapped to his side, emulating the outlaw Jesse James in tailies he spun for himself, terrorizing the locals with boyish pranks that bordered on delinquency, a little rebel whose fiery temper masked the deep void of loss, until 2 years later his father, Martha Banner, a widow of a school principal whose steady gaze saw beyond the chaos to the spark of potential within. Much like the alchemists of old who transformed lead into gold through patient refinement, and she placed a typewriter in his hands at age 13, urging him to channel that restless energy into words, into stories that could conquer worlds without a single shot fired. And so began his tentative steps into journalism, scribbling reports for his father's modest general store newspaper, chronicling the mundane lives of miners and farmers. But even then, when news was scarce, young Napoleon wove fabrications into his articles, blending truth with myth in a way that echoed the epic poets of ancient Greece, like Homer crafting the Iliad from fragments of history and imagination, a habit that would shadow him like an enigmatic phantom throughout his life, planting seeds of doubt in the veracity of his grand narratives. And by 15, he faced his first brush with scandal, marrying a local girl who accused him of fathering her child. Union annulled when she recanted, leaving him to ponder the fragility of trust amid the rolling Blue Ridges. Yet undeterred, he graduated high school at 17 and ventured for business school, absorbing lessons in commerce that felt like unlocking hidden vaults of knowledge, akin to the mystery schools of Egypt where initiates learned the arts of manifestation. Though his path twisted when he took a job in 1901 with a powerful coal magnate and former Virginia Attorney General. Rising quickly to mine clerk and then manager at 19, entrusted with secrets including the cover-up of an accidental shooting of a black bellhop by a drunken predecessor, a dark episode he kept buried like a forgotten, vowing silence in exchange for opportunity. But the coal dust and danger soon lost their allure, prompting him to enroll in law school, only to withdraw for lack of funds, yet boldly adopting the title, attorney at law, in later years without ever practicing. An embellishment that added layers of intrigue to his persona, as if drawing from the trickster archetypes of Native American law that surrounded those very mountains. And in 1903, he married Whitman, their daughter born in 1905 amid a union by allegations of physical abuse and infidelity. Whispers of Hill's visits to prostitutes during travels, a hidden turmoil that contrasted the public image he would later craft. The marriage dissolving in acrimony as he relocated to Mobile, Alabama in 1907, co-founding the Hill Lumber Company, a venture that promised prosperity but unraveled into fraud, purchasing lumber on credit from distant suppliers and selling it below cost without repayment, amassing debts of $10,000 to $20,000, leading to bankruptcy reports in the Journal and warrants for mail fraud, forcing Hill to flee in the night like a fugitive from some ancient saga. Abandoning his family temporarily and shedding Oliver to become simply Napoleon Hill, a reinvention that mirrored the phoenix myths of old, rising from ashes but leaving trails of deception. And in Washington, D.C., he founded the Automobile College of Washington in 1909, students with promises of high-paying jobs in car assembly for $75 tuition, but in truth providing free to the Carter Motor Corporation, which bankrupted in 1912 amid partner disputes and accusations from Motor World magazine branding it a scam with foolish marketing. Yet amid this chaos, Hill claimed a pivotal encounter in 1908 with steel tycoon Carnegie during a supposed interview, where the Scottish magnate, impressed by the young reporter's acumen, challenged him to dedicate 20 years to America's elite and distilling a philosophy of success. Providing no salary, but letters of introduction to titans like Henry Ford and Thomas, a story that propelled Hill's legend but remains shrouded in mystery, with no corroborating letters or records, biographers like David and Richard debating its authenticity, suggesting it was fabricated after Carnegie's 1919 death to lend credibility, much like the forged scrolls of ancient mystics claiming divine inspiration, adding a veil of enigma to his quest. And as he in June 1910 to Florence Horner, a high school student from a wealthy West Virginia family, bearing 3 sons, James in 1911, Napoleon Blair in 1912, who was born deaf without ears, and David in 1918. Their honeymoon delayed until 1919 due to financial strains. Hill pressed on with his self-proclaimed research, though his life spiraled through more failures, briefly working at La Extension University in Chicago, then co-founding the Betsy Candy Shop, only to be ousted by partners within a year, followed by the George Washington Institute of Advertising in 1915, teaching principles of success and self-confidence, but capitalized at $100,000 with assets of just $1,200, leading to 1918 warrants for violating blue sky laws through fraudulent stock sales and dummy loans, the Chicago Tribune reporting his evasion of justice. While Florence and the children sought refuge with her family, and amid claims of wartime service, negotiating Germany's armistice for President Woodrow, utterly unverified, with no White House records, Hill launched magazines like Hill's Golden Rule in 1919, but faced Federal Trade Commission charges for fraudulent advertising and laundering veteran charity funds into an oil stock scheme with accomplices like the Cox couple. A scandal that echoed the corrupt alchemists of medieval Europe promising gold but delivering ruin. And in 1922, he founded the Wall Correspondence School, a charitable front for Ohio prisoners directed by Czech forger Butler, pocketing donations like $800 to $1,000 from without delivering to inmates, exposed as a scam in 1923, all while associating with dubious figures, including lectures to the Klan and testimony on political corruption in 1926, fleeing after the murder of journalist whom he claimed as a friend, though unproven, hiding in West Virginia from potential Klan or mob threats, a period of shadow that added thriller-like twists to his biography. Yet from these depths emerged his first major work, The Law of Success in 1928, a compilation of 15 principles drawn from alleged interviews with over 100 millionaires. Though most interactions are disputed, only a staged photo within 1923, the book emphasizing freedom, democracy, capitalism, and harmony as keys to achievement, with a secret mantra that anything the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, principles that resonated with new thought movements and esoteric traditions. Like the Hermetic axiom, as above so below from ancient Egypt, where thoughts shape reality, and despite commercial struggles, buying and losing the estate in 1929 as a success colony amid the Great Crash, producing a failed Mormon film in 1931 through unlicensed stock sales, and claiming unverified advisory roles to Franklin D., even asserting he coined, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Hill's life turned in 1936 when he met and married Lee, his fourth wife after divorcing Florence in 1935 for abandonment, collaborating on Think and Grow Rich in 1937, a bestseller that outlined 13 steps to riches, beginning with desire as the starting point, a burning passion akin to the sacred fires of Zoroastrian temples igniting creation, then faith through visualization, mirroring the meditative practices of Buddhist monks achieving enlightenment, autosuggestion as repetitive affirmations like the mantras of Vedic sages, specialized knowledge from focused study reminiscent of the scholarly pursuits in the Library of Alexandria, imagination as the creative workshop drawing from Platonic ideals in the realm of forms, organized planning like the strategic councils of Roman emperors, decision to avoid procrastination as the Swift of King Solomon. Persistence, the unyielding force that echoes the stoic endurance of Epictetus through trials. The power of the master-mind alliance, a harmonious group collaboration that parallels the secret societies of the Rosicrucians' arcane knowledge. The mystery of sex transmutation channeling vital energy, as in tantric rituals of ancient India. The subconscious mind as a fertile garden planted with thoughts. The brain as a broadcasting and receiving station, tuned to universal vibrations, like the oracles at Delphi receiving divine messages. And the sixth sense as the apex of intuition, connecting to higher realms. A concept Hill later expanded in Grow Rich with Peace of Mind in 1967 to include visitations from unseen friends and a great school of masters, ethereal beings who guided him through disembodied travel and audible voices. The lines between philosophy and the occult, perhaps tapping into lost Atlantean wisdom or Gnostic revelations hidden for centuries. And while the book sold millions, though figures vary, with some biographers noting inflated claims, Hill's personal life remained turbulent, adopting two children briefly in 1939, whose fates remain unclear, associating with the Royal Fraternity of the Master Metaphysicians cult from 1938 to 1941, led by James Bernard, who revered Think and Grow Rich as scripture, attempting to raise an immortal baby, named Gene, through metaphysical means at their Long Island estate, with Hill as godfather, participating in bizarre rituals blending prosperity gospel with spiritual immortality. A hidden chapter that ended in scandal and was imprisoned in 1942 for larceny after a magazine investment scheme Hill proposed. borrowing funds from followers and leading to Sing Sing time, though Hill escaped charges. Whispering of deeper conspiracies, as FBI records on were destroyed in 2014 shortly after a FOIA request, an unsolved puzzle adding intrigue, and amid suspicions of infidelity, Lee divorced him around 1940, selling assets including his rolls and marrying her lawyer, leaving Hill to briefly reunite with Florence before moving to Clinton's South, bonding with publisher William Jacobs over shared Southern resentments, commissioning the flopped Mental Dynamite in 1941, then marrying Norman in 1943, his fifth and final wife who provided stability, relocating to California for consulting and a 1947 radio show on KFWB. But controversies persisted, like a 1952 scam in Paris, Missouri selling success courses, while advocating nuclear strikes on the Soviet Union and claiming advisory roles, leading to expulsion. Then partnering with W. Clement Stone in Napoleon Hill Associates and Success Unlimited magazine, co-authoring Success through a positive mental attitude in 1960, but parting acrimoniously in the early 1960s amid complaints and losses, franchising his science of success like multi-level marketing, and founding the Napoleon Hill Foundation in 1963 to preserve his works, all while facing whispers of a lost chapter in Think and Grow Rich, deemed too occult for publication, bootlegs circulating online suggesting deeper esoteric ties, until his death on November 8, 1970, in South at 87, with a net worth around $1 million, his estate sparking court battles between and the foundation into the 1980s over rights and alleged mismanagement. Yet his legacy endures as a cornerstone of self-help, inspiring movements like The Secret and modern gurus, his ideas mattering today because, in an era of uncertainty, they reconnect us to timeless truths of mindset mastery, persistence amid failure, and the alchemical power of thought to transmute dreams into reality, offering a soothing balm for the soul as you surrender to the gentle pull of slumber. An unexplored historical mystery lingers in the shadowed valleys of Pound, Virginia, where on that crisp autumn day of October 26, 1883, Oliver Napoleon Hill first opened his eyes to a world of rugged beauty and unrelenting hardship. The one-room log cabin creaking under the weight of ancient Appalachian winds that carried echoes of Celtic lore from across the seas, tales of druids who harnessed the unseen forces of nature to bend fate. Much like the invisible threads of ambition that would one day weave through Hill's own destiny, his father James Hill eking out a living as an unlicensed dentist, pulling teeth with pliers forged from necessity while distilling moonshine in hidden stills under the cover of starlit nights. A man whose rough hands spoke of survival in a land where the earth yielded coal more readily than corn, and his mother Sarah Blair Hill, descended from English settlers who braved the Atlantic in 1847 only to find the same poverty they fled, her soft voice humming forgotten hymns as she mended clothes by firelight, dreaming of a brighter path for her son. Yet fate's cruel twist arrived when Sarah passed away in 1892, perhaps from the harsh winters or an unnamed illness that stalked the mountains like a spectral hunter, leaving young Napoleon, barely 9, to grapple with a grief that twisted his spirit into rebellion, wandering the mist-shrouded hills with a revolver at his hip, mimicking the outlaws of dime novels, his pranks escalating to near delinquency, shooting at livestock and stirring whispers among the locals of a boy possessed by the wild ghosts of the frontier, until 1894, when his father wed Martha Banner, widow of a stern school principal whose disciplined gaze pierced the chaos, seeing not a lost soul, but a latent alchemist capable of turning turmoil into triumph, much as the ancient transformed chaos into order, and she gifted him a typewriter at 13, her words a gentle incantation urging him to forge stories instead of strife, channeling that fiery energy into ink on paper, and thus his journalism bloomed, pennying tailies for rural papers, the grit of coal miners' lives, and the illicit thrill of bootleggers' runs. But when the news dried up like a summer creek, he embellished, crafting fictions from fragments of truth, a practice akin to the myth-makers of old who blended history with legend to inspire, though it sowed seeds of doubt that would haunt his legacy like an unsolved enigma. And at 15 came his first brush with scandal's shadow, a hasty marriage to a local girl claiming pregnancy, only for her to recant, the union annulled in hushed courtrooms, leaving Hill to ponder the fragility of vows amid the eternal Blue Ridges. Yet he pressed onward, graduating high school at 17 and journeying for business college, absorbing ledger books and commerce laws that felt like decoding the runes of prosperity, secrets buried since the merchants of ancient Babylon traded silks for silver. But opportunity called in 1901 with a coal baron and ex-attorney general whose empire spanned mines and politics. Hill as a clerk at 19, swiftly promoting him to manager, entrusting him with the veil over a tragic secret, the accidental killing of a black bellhop by a drunken foreman, a cover-up Hill swore to silence, burying it like a pharaoh's curse in the depths of his conscience, a moral quandary that echoed the ethical dilemmas of Stoic philosophers facing imperial corruption. Yet the mind's dangers soon repelled him, leading to a brief flirtation with law school, withdrawn for want of funds. Though he later the attorney at law mantle without bar passage, an embellishment drawing from the trickster gods of native Cherokee tailies whispered in those very woods. And in 1903, he wed Whitman, their daughter arriving in 1905, amid a marriage frayed by allegations of Hill's temper and wandering eye, visits to brothels during travels casting long shadows, the union dissolving in bitterness as he ventured south to Mobile, Alabama, in 1907. Co-founding the Hill Lumber Company, a venture that glittered with promise but decayed into deceit, buying timber on credit from far-flung mills, selling it cheaply without repayment, debts swelling to $20,000. Bankruptcy headlines in the Journal branding him a fraud, arrest warrants for mail fraud forcing a midnight escape, abandoning family like a nomad fleeing ancient plagues, shedding his first name to emerge as simply Napoleon Hill, a rebirth mirroring the phoenix of Egyptian myth. Though trailed by whispers of ruin, and in Washington, D.C. by 1909, he launched the Automobile College, enticing students with dreams of automotive mastery for $75, but exploiting them as unpaid for the Carter Motor Corporation, which collapsed in 1912 amid lawsuits and Motor World magazines scathing of its folly. Yet in this tumult Hill wove his grandest myth, the 1908 encounter with Carnegie, the steel titan allegedly captivating him in a 3-day interview, commissioning a 20-year odyssey to interview 500 magnates and distill success's elixir, sans salary, but with golden introductions to Ford, and a tale that ignited his legend, but crumbles under scrutiny, no letters or diaries confirming it, biographers like Matt unearthing its post-1919 fabrication after Carnegie's death, a clever forgery akin to the pseudepigrapher of ancient texts claiming apostolic authority, adding a labyrinthine mystery to his narrative, and as he in 1910 to Florence Horner, a belle from affluence, birthing sons James in 1911, Napoleon Blair in 1912, born without ears, a deafness that tested Hill's faith in mind over matter, and David in 1918, their delayed honeymoon in 1919, speaking to perpetual penury, Hill pursued his phantom research, navigating failures like the Betsy Candy Shop, ousted by partners. The 1915 George Washington Institute of Advertising capitalized fictitiously at $100,000, with mere $1,200 in assets, 1918 warrants for blue sky law violations and stock fraud, the Chicago Tribune chronicling his dodges, Florence retreating to kin with the boys, while Hill boasted unverified wartime feats negotiating Germany's surrender for, White House records silent as tombs. And in 1919, he birthed Hill's Golden Rule magazine, only for FTC charges of deceptive ads and siphoning veteran charities into oil scams with the Coxes, a betrayal echoing medieval alchemists' false promises of gold. And 1922 saw the Wall Correspondence School, a prisoner aid front with forger Butler, embezzling donations exposed in 1923, all while to the Klan in Indiana, testifying on corruption in 1926. Then fleeing after the assassination of journalist Don, claimed as a friend, though unproven, hiding in West Virginia from Klan or mob vendettas, a thriller's plot unfolding in real shadows. Yet from these abysses rose the law of success in 1928, 15 principles from purported interviews, though only a 1923 photo, the book heralding democracy and harmony as success's pillars, its secret that conception plus belief equals achievement. Resonating with new thought and hermetic, as within so without. But the 1929 crash devoured his estate Success Colony. A 1931 Mormon film flopped via illegal stocks, and amid claimed FDR coining, fear itself, unverified. Hill met Lee in 1936, divorcing Florence for abandonment, wedding her and co-authoring Think and Grow Rich in 1937, 13 Steps Unveiled. Desire as Zoroastrian fire sparking creation, faith via visualization like Buddhist mandalas, autosuggestion as Vedic mantras, knowledge specialized from Alexandrian scrolls, imagination Platonic, planning Roman, decision Solomonic, persistence, mastermind Rosicrucian, sex transmutation Tantric, subconscious gardened, brain cosmic tuner like Delphic oracles. Sixth sense Atlantean intuition, linking to ethereal masters Hill later, described in 1967's Grow Rich with Peace of Mind as disembodied guides in audible congress, veering into occult veils, the book exploding sales, millions, though exaggerated. Yet personal storms raged, brief 1939 adoptions shrouded in mystery, entanglement with the Royal Fraternity of Master Metaphysicians from 1938-19, for one under James Bernard. Cult venerating Think and Grow Rich as Holy Writ, their estate a haven for metaphysical experiments, including raising immortal baby, gene via positive thought, Hill as godfather in rituals fusing prosperity with eternal life. A bizarre saga ending in 1942 larceny imprisonment over Hill proposed magazine schemes. FBI files destroyed in 2014 post-FOIA, fueling conspiracy whispers like lost Dead Sea Scrolls, and amid infidelity suspicions. Divorced him circa 1940, claiming assets including his Rolls-Royce, marrying her attorney, prompting Hill's fleeting Florence reunion before settling in Clinton, South, bonding with publisher William Jacobs over shared resentments, birthing failed mental dynamite in 1941, then wedding Norman in 1943 for lasting stability, relocating to California for 1947, KFWB radio gigs and consulting. Yet scandals persisted. A 1952 Paris, Missouri, course scam advocating Soviet nuking. Expulsion followed, then W. Clement Stone Partnership for Napoleon Hill Associates, and Success Unlimited, co-pennying success through a positive mental attitude in 1960, but acrimonious split in the 1960s over gripes and deficits, franchising Science of Success pyramid style, establishing the Napoleon Hill Foundation in 1963 to safeguard his oeuvre, amid of a suppressed Think and Grow Rich Chapter 2 arcane for print, bootlegs hinting at deeper initiations. Until his quiet passing on November 8, 1970, in at 87, estate battles between, and the foundation dragging into the 1980s over royalties and stewardship. His net worth a modest $1 million, yet his imprint vast, birthing self-help's empire, fueling the secret and contemporary visionaries, his tenets enduring because in chaos's swirl, they revive ageless alchemies of mindset, turning trials to treasure, a serene anchor as slumber's tide rises gently. As the enigmatic veil lifts ever so gently on the labyrinthine path of Napoleon Hill's existence, revealing layers upon layers of triumph, shadowed by deception, where the autumn winds of 1883 carried not just the chill of poverty through that humble pound, Virginia cabin, but also the faint echoes of ancient mystery schools whispering of mind's dominion over matter, a knowledge guarded by Egyptian priests and Greek philosophers alike. Waiting to be reborn in this unlikely vessel born Oliver Napoleon Hill on October 26th, amid the rugged embrace of the Appalachians. His early years, a tapestry of loss and rebellion, following his mother Sarah's passing when he was but 9, transforming him into a pistol-totting wildling whose antics evoked the untamed spirits of frontier law, until stepmother Martha's wise intervention with a typewriter at 13 redirected that chaos into the written word. Birthing a mountain reporter who chronicled rural life while occasionally embellishing tales when facts fell short, a creative license that foreshadowed greater fabrications like the mythic 1908 commission from Carnegie, a meeting historians now unveil as likely apocryphal, crafted posthumously to Carnegie's 1919 demise, with no archival trace in the magnate's vast correspondence or biographies pennied by scholars like David. Yet this invented origin story served as the cornerstone for Hill's 20-year quest, a narrative alchemy transmuting personal failures into a philosophy of success that mirrored hermetic principles of mental transmutation from the hidden texts, as he navigated a gauntlet of entrepreneurial disasters, from the 1907 Hill Lumber Company's collapse amid mail fraud allegations and unpaid debts forcing nocturnal flight, to the 1909 Automobile College of Washington, exposed as exploiting students for free before its 1912 bankruptcy, and onward through the Betsy Candy Shop betrayal, the fraudulent George Washington Institute peddling overvalued stock in violation of blue sky laws, evading 1918 warrants while his family suffered, boasting fictitious wartime diplomacy for president with zero White House corroboration. Launching Hill's Golden Rule magazine only to face 1919 Federal Trade Commission charges for deceptive practices and misappropriating veteran funds into dubious oil ventures. Then the 1922 Wall Prisoner correspondence scam pocketing donations meant for inmates, associations with Klan lectures, and fleeting from 1926 threats after a journalist's murder. All these shadowed chapters painting a portrait of a serial reinventor dancing on legality's edge, much like medieval charlatans promising philosophers stones while fleeing creditors. Yet from this forge of repeated defeat emerged 1928's The Law of Success, distilling purported insights from elusive interviews. Only a 1923 photograph surfacing amid doubts over most encounters, into principles echoing New Thought and ancient Stoicism, proclaiming that definite purpose allied with faith could conquer circumstance. Though the 1929 crash devoured his Success Academy dreams, a failed Mormon film followed via illegal financing, unverified FDR advisories, including allegedly authoring iconic fear quotes, until marrying Lee in 1937 amid divorce from Florence, collaborating on the iconic Think and Grow Rich that crystallized 13 Steps into a bestseller reshaping millions' mindsets. Desire igniting as primal force akin to Vedic Agni devouring obstacles, faith visualizing outcomes like shamanic journeying to spirit realms, autosuggestion imprinting subconscious as hypnotic rites in mystery cults, specialized knowledge hoarded like alchemical formulae, imagination birthing realities from Platonic archetypes, organized planning charting paths as ancient strategists like Sun, decisions swift as oracle decrees, persistence eroding resistance like eternal rivers carving stone. The mastermind harmonizing intellects reminiscent of Rosicrucian brotherhoods, forbidden law, sex transmutation, redirecting life force as yogic kundalini ascension, subconscious as fertile soil seeded by thought per Babylonian tablet inscriptions on creation by word, brain receiving infinite intelligence like Delphic channeling Apollo, culminating in sixth sense intuition, linking to ascended masters Hill later confessed, visiting him in 1967's Grow Rich with Peace of Mind, audible guides from a great school, perhaps echoing theosophical hidden Mahatmas or Atlantean, survivors' telepathic counsels, veering into occult territories that unsettled contemporaries, while personally he dabbled in the bizarre, with Lee joining the Royal Fraternity of Master Metaphysicians from 1938. Occult, his book as sacred text under leader James Bernard, who acquired a lavish Long Island mansion to experiment with positive thought for immortality, adopting infant Jean as godparents in a quest to rear an undying child through metaphysical nutrition and mindset, a scandalous drawing media frenzy, and 1942 larceny charges against over-diverted funds from Hill-suggested schemes, landing him in Sing Sing while Hill evaded prosecution amid whispers of deeper esoteric pacts, Lee's subsequent divorce seizing assets like his Rolls-Royce, prompting relocation to South with publisher alliances, yielding short-lived projects, remarrying Norman in 1943 for enduring companionship, California Radio Ventures in 1947, a 1952 Missouri course controversy laced with Cold War hawkishness leading to ousting. Fruitful yet fractious partnership with W. Clement Stone birthing Napoleon Hill Associates, a 1960 success through a positive mental attitude before acrimonious parting, franchising his teachings pyramid-like, founding the Napoleon Hill Foundation in 1963 to steward his legacy amid of excised think and grow rich chapters too arcane revealing occult underpinnings, and concurrently the 1938 manuscript Outwitting the Devil, a provocative imagined interrogation of Satan exposing fear, drifting, and religious hypocrisy as control mechanisms 98% of humanity, deemed too incendiary for publication during Hill's life, perhaps fearing backlash against organized faith, or its Gnostic overtones, challenging dualistic good-evil narratives, akin to suppressed apocrypha, remaining sealed until 2011's release by the Foundation with annotations from Sharon unveiling Hill's bolder critiques of schooling and church as devilish tools fostering indefinite purpose. A hidden gem that amplified his warnings against negative influences while affirming rhythmic thinking and definite aim as liberation, all culminating in his serene passing November 8, 1970, in South at 87, leaving a modest $1 million estate, contested in prolonged legal battles over royalties between widow and the Foundation. Yet his enduring resonance lies in resurrecting timeless verities. That thought precedes manifestation, persistence transmutes failure. Allied minds amplify power, principles paralleling quantum observer effects or ancient law of attraction in emerald tablet engravings, offering in today's turbulent seas a calming harbor of self-mastery, inviting you to breathe deeply as these revelations settle like soft mist, easing you toward profound, restorative slumber. As the enigmatic saga of Napoleon Hill unfurls further into the veiled recesses of history, where the crisp mountain air of October 26, 1883, carried not only the scent of pine and earth through that sparse pound, Virginia log cabin, but also the subtle vibrations of ancient wisdom waiting to be rediscovered. Wisdom etched on emerald tablets in hermetic lore, speaking of mind as the builder of worlds. We find young Oliver Napoleon Hill navigating a childhood scarred by poverty and early loss, his mother's death in 1892 at age 9, igniting a rebellious fire that saw him strapping on a revolver and roaming like a frontier phantom, until stepmother Martha's typewriter gift at 13 alchemized that fury into prose, launching his journalistic ventures laced with occasional fabrications that mirrored the mythic embellishments of ancient bards crafting epics from scant truths. A pattern deepening through his teens with a scandalous annulled marriage over false paternity claims, his 1901 coal mine management under involving hushed cover-ups of fatal accidents, the moral weight echoing stoic tests of integrity amid power, leading to his 1903 union with Whitman dissolving amid abuse allegations, propelling him to Mobile's 1907 lumber fraud debacle with debts and warrants forcing reinvention as Napoleon Hill sans Oliver. The 1909 Automobile College scam, exploiting students before collapse, all while weaving the grand Carnegie myth, now unveiled by meticulous archival dives from scholars like Matt revealing zero corroborative evidence in Carnegie's exhaustive papers or contemporary records. A post-1919 invention lending mythic authority, akin to pseudepigraphic gospels, attributing words to revered figures. Fueling his claimed 20-year odyssey through purported Titan, interviews yielding sparse verification beyond a staged 1923 snapshot, as personal failures mounted. Candy shop oustings, advertising institute stock frauds evading blue sky warrants, phantom armistice negotiations, magazine charity embezzlements facing FTC scrutiny, prisoner school donation pockets exposed, clan lecture ties and flight from 1926 murder threats. Yet these crucibles forged 1928's The Law of Success with its 15 laws harmonizing definite chief aim: self-confidence, initiative, imagination, enthusiasm, self-control. Habit of doing more than paid for, pleasing personality, accurate thinking, concentration, cooperation, profiting by failure, tolerance, golden rule application, and the mastermind. Principles drawing from new thought currents and echoing Epictetus's control over perception or disciplined action. Though commercial tides crashed with the Depression swallowing his estate dreams, failed film, until 1937's Think and Grow Rich, with Lee distilled the iconic 13. Burning desire as the genesis spark paralleling Prometheus's theft or Vedic tapas heat generating manifestation. Faith as emotionalized belief, visualizing success, like ancient Egyptian magic binding, thought to form. Autosuggestion as daily incantations imprinting subconscious, akin to hypnotic mysteries. Specialized knowledge, strategically acquired echoing Alexandrian scholarly vaults. Imagination synthesizing ideas from ether like Da Vinci's visionary sketches. Organized planning with leaders and followers in harmony reminiscent of Confucian hierarchies. Decisive action cutting bridges as Cortes burned ships or Caesar crossed Rubicon. Persistence as unyielding will eroding obstacles like Tao's water-wearing stone. Mastermind alliances amplifying power as Illuminati-like circles or Pythagorean brotherhoods shared esoteric truths. Sexual transmutation, redirecting creative energy upward as alchemical sublimation or kundalini, awakening in hidden ashrams. Subconscious mind as receptive matrix, seeded by dominant thoughts per Babylonian creation, via divine utterance. Brain as transmitter-receiver of infinite intelligence vibrations, like records accessed in trance. Sixth sense as capstone intuition from higher guidance hill, elaborated in later works as direct communion with invisible. Ascended figures like Lincoln or appearing in visions, a claim veering into theosophical Mahatma contacts or like readings, while the suppressed 1938 Outwitting the Devil manuscript, locked away until 2011 fearing ecclesiastical backlash for its audacious fictional dialogue, unmasking the devil's arsenal. Fear as primary weapon, especially fear of criticism, death, poverty, illness, loss of love, old age, drifting without purpose most souls in rhythmic negative habits. Exploiting schools teaching what to think not how, churches fostering fear-based control over love-based freedom, procrastination, envy, greed, jealousy, revenge as devilish tools. Revealing 98% under infernal sway through indefinite thinking, advocating definite major purpose, controlled attention, environmental harmony, positive mental attitude as exorcism rites. Its Gnostic challenging orthodox dualism by portraying the devil as absence of positive vibration rather than entity, a radical hidden truth suppressed like nag texts. Paralleling Hill's own cult immersion, 1938-19, for one with the Royal Fraternity of Master Metaphysicians, and as Mansion experiments applying his principles to defy mortality. Rearing baby Gene, on positive affirmations, and special diets for immortality amid media storms and eventual fraud convictions. Hill's godparent role and investment schemes evading charges but staining reputation. Lee's asset-seizing divorce, South resettlement, stabilizing marriage. Stone collaborations birthing positive mental attitude franchises before splits. Foundation establishment, safeguarding works amid excised chapter delving deeper into occult initiations. His 1970 passing sparking royalty wars. Yet the profound resonance persists in modern neuroplasticity, validating thoughts rewiring. Visualization studies mirroring autosuggestion efficacy. Mastermind groups fueling masterminds like entrepreneurial circles. Law of attraction echoes in quantum entanglement observer theories, offering timeless antidote to drift in an age of distraction. A soothing eternal flame, gidding weary, minds toward tranquil depths of restorative sleep, as these ancient modern threads entwine gently around your awareness. As the silken threads of Napoleon Hill's enigmatic odyssey weave deeper into the tapestry of hidden histories, where the mountain mists of his Virginia birthplace in 1883 concealed not only the hardships of a log cabin existence, but also the latent echoes of hermetic wisdom from antiquity, principles of mental alchemy, that alchemists like Hermes inscribed on emerald tablets the unity of above and below, mind shaping matter in eternal harmony. A truth Hill would later resurrect amid his tumultuous ascent, his childhood rebellion tamed by a typewriter's keys, yet forever marked by embellishments that blurred fact and fable like ancient forging legends to illuminate deeper realities. His journalistic forays laced with inventions when truth lagged, a prelude to the grandest illusion. The purported 1908 summons by Carnegie, the Steel Emperor whose vast archives, meticulously combed by biographers like David and chroniclers, such as Matt in Revelations from forgotten periodicals, yield no trace of correspondence, no diary entry, no whisper of that fateful three-day discourse commissioning a salary-free quest to unearth success's secrets from Titans' minds. A narrative likely woven after Carnegie's 1919 passing to cloak Hill's own reinventions in borrowed prestige. Much as pseudepigraphic scribes of old attributed wisdom to revered sages for greater sway. Yet this mythic foundation propelled him through cascades of collapse. The Mobile lumber fraud's midnight flight from debts and warrants. The Washington Automobile College's exploitation of dreamers as unpaid toil before its ruin. Candy ventures soured by partner betrayals. Advertising institutes bloated with fictitious capital evading blue sky prosecutions. Charity misdirections, siphoning veteran aids into phantom oils, prisoner school facades pocketing well-meaning donations, even fleeting clan lecture ties, and evasions from journalistic murder shadows in the Roaring Twenties. All these veiled chapters unveiled in dusty court filings and yellowed newsprint, painting a portrait of perpetual phoenix-like resurgence from self-inflicted ashes. Echoing the eternal cycle of destruction and creation in Shiva's cosmic dance, or Osiris's dismemberment and revival in Egyptian lore. Failures not as ends, but as initiations into resilience's mysteries, culminating in the 1928 Law of Success's expansive canons and the 1937 Think and Grow Rich's distilled essence. Its 13 steps, a modern grimoire channeling ageless arcane forces. Desire not mere want, but the primordial spark akin to the Babylonian Marduk's word birthing order from chaos. Faith the bridge between seen and unseen, like the initiate's revelation of life's continuity beyond death. Autosuggestion the rhythmic incantation imprinting soul depths, as Hindu rishis chanted Om to align with Brahman. Specialized knowledge, the guarded gnosis of mystery schools from Pythagoras' acolytes to Rosicrucian vaults. Imagination, the divine faculty mirroring God's, fiat lux in Genesis, or Plato's realm of perfect forms casting shadows in our cave. Organized planning the architectural blueprint of pharaohs, raising pyramids defying time. Decision the irrevocable commitment, as Alexander severed the knot. persistence the inexorable flow of the Nile nourishing deserts into fertility, the mastermind the synergistic communion Hill, defined as harmonious coordination of knowledge and effort among aligned souls. Amplifying individual power exponentially like the esoteric circles of ancient brotherhoods, perhaps drawing from theosophical harmonies or even unspoken influences from lodges where minds blended in ritual for collective elevation. A concept origins shrouded yet resonant with Pythagorean symposia or knights, Templar councils, sacred geometries. Sex transmutation, the upward redirection of vital elixir, as in Taoist, inner alchemy circulating, Kai through microcosmic orbits, or tantric union, sublimating base desire into spiritual fire. Subconscious, the vast underworld psyche would later map, but Hill accessed as a receptive ether with definite seeds per ancient creation myths, where thought precedes form. Brain as antenna tuning to infinite intelligence's broadcasts akin to field accesses in Vedic Akasha or Delphic priestesses, inhaling for prophecy. Sixth sense the crowning intuition, apex of transmuted energies, opening portals to higher guidance, which Hill in later confessions of Grow Rich with Peace of Mind expanded into nightly convocations with an imaginary cabinet of invisible greats like Darwin, Burbank, Lincoln, and materializing in ethereal advisory sessions. Their voices audible in trance-like states, a practice veering into spiritist realms reminiscent of heavenly dialogues or Mahatma letters, self-help with mediumship in ways that unsettled orthodox minds yet hinted at untapped human potentials from lost civilizations. And paralleling this esoteric deepening was the suppressed 1938 Outwitting the Devil, a daring, fictional yet profound interrogation where Hill compels the adversary to confess his subterfuges, revealing not a horned fiend, but a pervasive negative vibration 98% through fear's seven heads: poverty, criticism, ill health, lost love, old age, death, plus the basic fear of eternal damnation exploited by misguided religion, procrastination as drifting without definite purpose, envy and greed as hooks, hypocrisy in education and clergy teaching rote obedience over independent thought, the devil boasting control via indefinite aim, fostering rhythmic negativity, yet countered by 7 principles of freedom: definiteness of purpose, mastery over self, learning from adversity, controlling environmental influences, time's compounding of positive habits, harmony with others, caution against negatives. A Gnostic-like inversion portraying organized fear as true evil, the devil as non-vibration or absence of positive alignment, truths too incendiary for Depression-era publication, fearing backlash from pulpits and pedagogues. Sealed away until 2011's annotated release unveiled its bold critique of institutional drift, much like suppressed Coptic texts, challenging canonical narratives, and woven inextricably into this occult-tinged evolution, was Hill's 1938-19 for one immersion in the royal fraternity of master metaphysicians under charismatic James Bernard, a metaphysical order venerating Think and Grow Rich as doctrinal core. A opulent Long Island estate, renamed Peace, haven as sanctuary for applying positive mind power to transcend mortality, their audacious centerpiece the adoption of infant Jean, baby Jean, or the immortal child as godchild to Hill and Lee, rearing her on affirmations, specialized diets void of stimulants, and visualized immortality rituals amid lavish halls, believing concentrated thought could defy aging and death, as Hill's principles promised boundless manifestation. A utopian experiment drawing tabloid frenzy as the cult of the immortal baby, yet crumbling under financial strains. Its 1942 larceny conviction over diverted investments, including schemes Hill proposed, landing him in Sing Sing child custody battles erupting with biological parents reclaiming Jean amid neglect accusations, the fraternity dissolving in lawsuits and suicide shadows. Hill distancing yet forever marked by this bizarre chapter, echoing ancient quests for elixir from Gilgamesh's plant, to alchemist's philosopher's stone, suggesting his philosophy perilous depth, where mindset met metaphysics in forbidden fusions. Subsequent divorces and resettlements yielding stability with fruitful if fractious stone alliances, franchising positive attitude, foundation stewardship preserving amid royalty disputes. His 1970 departure leaving a conflicted legacy of inspiration laced with deception, yet profoundly relevant in contemporary currents, where validations of visualization reshape brains, group dynamic studies affirm mastermind synergies, quantum observer paradigms echo thought's creative role, offering in distractions deluge a serene compass of deliberate intention. Ancient wisdom reborn for modern souls seeking not just riches, but inner sovereignty. A gentle, luminous path, inviting deeper breath, softer surrender to night's embracing calm, as these revelations dissolve into dream's tranquil embrace. As the luminous strands of Napoleon Hill's labyrinthine legacy shimmer onward through the veiled annals of time, where the crisp Appalachian breezes of his 1883 birthplace whispered not merely of earthly toil, but of the eternal hermetic decree that the universe is mental, held in the mind's vast embrace, as proclaimed in the shadowed pages drawn from Thoth's ancient Egyptian revelations. A principal hill through relentless reinvention amid cascades of controversy and collapse. His youthful fabrications evolving into the Carnegie legend, dissected in modern scholarly excavations, revealing its absence from the magnate's meticulously preserved ledgers and letters. A masterful narrative construct, 1919, to imbue his Odyssey with unassailable aura, akin to how early Christian apocrypha borrowed apostolic names for doctrinal weight, propelling him across decades of shadowed ventures, the lumber fraud's fugitive shadows, automobile college deceptions unraveling in charity diversions prosecuted by federal gaze, prisoner aid facades crumbling under scrutiny, fleeting clan affiliations, and evasions from violent reprisals, each downfall a crucible mirroring the alchemical stage of dissolution preceding rebirth, failures as veiled tutors in persistence's arcane arts, forging the 1928 Law of Success's comprehensive blueprint and the 1937 Think and Grow Rich's potent condensation. Its 13 principles a luminous ladder ascending from desire's incandescent core, that primal eros force echoing the Orphic hymn's creative longing birthing cosmos from chaos, to faith's alchemical visualization, transmuting thought into tangible gold, as in the mystery's promise of renewal, autosuggestion's repetitive enchantments engraving subconscious depth like the repetitive glyphs on stone unlocking forgotten tongues. Specialized knowledge as the jealously guarded arcana of initiatory orders from Mithraic grades to Masonic degrees. Imagination, the divine spark Prometheus-like stealing fire for human innovation. Organized planning, the meticulous star maps of Babylonian astrologers predicting fates, yet bendable by will. Decision, the thunderbolt choice of Zeus, severing doubt. Persistence, the patient erosion of Grand Canyon's timeless rivers, sculpting stone through. Mastermind, the exalted Synergy Hill, illustrated through historical alliances, yet deepened in esoteric interpretations as telepathic linkages among adepts in hidden orders, perhaps influenced by unspoken theosophical currents, or even Golden Dawn rituals harmonizing wills for manifestation. Sex transmutation, the sacred redirection of generative force upward through channels, as detailed in obscured tantric texts or Paracelsus's vital spirit sublimations. Subconscious, the primordial abyss from which forms emerge per the aboriginal dreamtimes, eternal dreaming creating reality, or collective unconscious reservoir hill, intuitively. Brain, the vibratory instrument attuned to infinite intelligence's symphony, akin to Vedic channeling prana or Tesla's own claims of cosmic receptions. Sixth sense, the enlightened crown, where individual merges with universal, as in samadhi states of yogic union or shamanic visions, accessing spirit councils. Revelations Hill amplified in Grow Rich, with peace of mind, through detailed accounts of his invisible technique, summoning ethereal presences of historical luminaries in meditative sessions for direct counsel, their forms vivid, voices resonant in the quiet hours, a method bordering automatic writing or mediumistic channeling reminiscent of Jane Roberts's Seth material or ancient oracular possessions, inviting scrutiny yet affirming untapped psychic faculties from more Atlantean epochs. And inextricably entwined was the bold 1938 Outwitting the Devil, its imagined yet piercing confessional dialogue forcing the Prince of Darkness to unveil his insidious empire built not on overt malice, but subtle vibrational sabotage, admitting dominion over 98% via the law of hypnotic rhythm, embedding negative habits through repetition. Primary weapons, the six basic fears: poverty into greed, criticism silencing initiative, ill health breeding hypochondria, loss of love fostering jealousy, old age evoking regret, death weaponized by dogmatic afterlife threats, augmented by envy, anger, procrastination as chief allies. The devil gleefully detailing how he infiltrates schools programming rote compliance over creative inquiry, churches peddling fear-disguised salvation over love, media and politics amplifying division, yet conceding defeat to the 2% wielding definiteness of purpose, self-mastery, allied harmony, positive environmental associations, and the mastermind's amplified vibration overriding negativity, a manifesto too provocative for its era, risking accusations of blasphemy or sedition amid depression anxieties and rising fundamentalism, buried in vaults until 2011's emergence with framing as metaphorical psychology, yet retaining its raw esoteric charge akin to Manichaean dualism, resolved through conscious alignment or cathar, transcending material illusion. Paralleling Hill's own perilous flirtation with applied metaphysics in the master metaphysician's piece, Haven Enclave, West's visionary collective channeled his principles into radical longevity experiments. The Immortal Baby Project, envisioning thought's conquest over entropy as ancient Taoist immortals sought Xi'an transcendence through inner elixir. Lavish rituals in marble halls, blending affirmations with dietary alchemy amid press sieges, portraying cultish excess. Financial implosions, yielding imprisonments and dispersals, yet underscoring the double-edged blade of unchecked belief, where mindset mastery veers into delusion's abyss. Hill's extrication leaving echoes of what if in biographical margins. Subsequent unions granting serenity with amid California broadcasts, and Stone's insurance-empowered collaborations, scaling positive mental attitude into corporate curricula before ideological fractures. Foundation's guardianship navigating posthumous royalty skirmishes into decades, his 1970 transition at 87, closing a chapter rife with paradox. A man who preached integrity, yet navigated deceptions, championed harmony amid personal discords, unveiled universal laws through particular frailties, yet whose core insights endure validated by contemporary lenses, neuroimaging tracing visualizations, neural pathways, placebo studies affirming faith's physiological potency. Network theory quantifying mastermind multiplicities, coherence research echoing vibrational attunement, in an epoch of algorithmic distraction and existential drift, providing an ancient modern anchor of deliberate creation. Thought as causal force reviving hermetic causation in a materialist age. A serene luminous beacon inviting slower breaths, softer eyelids, as these profound revelations cradle your awareness into night's gentle, restorative depths, where dreams may echo with your own untapped potentials. As the ethereal currents of Napoleon Hill's profound and paradoxical voyage drift, ever onward through the mist-shrouded corridors of forgotten histories, where the humble 1883 Virginia cabin's earthen floors absorbed not only the footsteps of hardship, but the subtle resonances of timeless hermetic axioms. That all is mind, the universe a mental creation, as inscribed in the legendary Emerald Tablets alchemical verses attributed to Hermes thrice great, guardian of Thoth's Egyptian mysteries. a doctrine Hill intuitively channeled through his philosophy's core, transmuting personal tumult into universal precepts amid a lifetime of shadowed reinventions and luminous insights, his early embellishments blossoming into the Carnegie epic, now illuminated by rigorous biographical probes, unearthing its evidentiary void in the industrialist's exhaustive archives. A deliberate mythic overlay akin to how Gnostic texts wove esoteric layers over canonical tales for initiatory depth, his narrative quest through cascades of entrepreneurial crucibles, the fugitive trails from lumber debts, student exploitations in motoring academies, diverted charities and prisoner aids exposed in federal ledgers, evasive dances around blue sky violations, and fleeting brushes with extremist lectins. Each collapse a symbolic death-rebirth cycle, echoing the Osirian mysteries of dismemberment, yielding resurrection, or the Vedic Shivas dissolving worlds for renewal, trials forging unyielding persistence as sacred virtue, crystallizing in the monumental works where law of successes, 15 gateways, and think and grow riches, 13 rungs, form a modern initiatory path. Desire the foundational flame, not casual whim, but the consecrated agony of hymns igniting cosmic order from primordial waters. Faith the visionary bridge spanning impossible gulfs, as in the Persephone myth's descent and return promising eternal cycles. Autosuggestion the disciplined mantra repetition, aligning microcosm with macrocosm, pers yogic sutras on stilling mind waves for realization. Specialized knowledge, the esoteric gnosis, selectively imparted in graded mystery schools, from Orphic gold tablets, guiding souls to Elysium, to alchemical adepts hoarding Lapi's formulae. Imagination, the noetic faculty Plato, exalted as recollection of ideal forms beheld in soul's pre-incarnate vision. Organized planning the harmonious orchestration of elements, as in the Ennead's divine demiurge crafting cosmos from chaos. Decision, the heroic severance of retreat, as Odin sacrificed Eye for wisdom's well or Arjuna's battlefield. Resolve in Gita. Persistence, the adamantine will of Sisyphus, redeemed through mindset, or the Taoist Wu Wei flowing inexorably around obstacles. Mastermind, the exalted covenant of souls in sympathetic resonance. Hill's examples drawn from industrial titans, yet deepened as harmonic attunement among initiates in concealed orders. Perhaps subtly influenced by Rosicrucian manifestos promising invisible college harmonies, or even group soul workings. A multiplicative force, where two or more gathered in aligned purpose, invoke exponential creation echoing Christ's promise or quorum invocations in Kabbalistic trees. Sex transmutation, the refined sublimation of generative kundalini, from upward through, as in secret rites, or Western magic's great work, uniting opposites for divine androgyny. Subconscious, the abyssal nun from which Tar's tongue spoke creation in theology, or the collective dreamtime ancestors shaping reality in indigenous Australian lore. Brain, the crystalline receiver-transmitter of thought waves, vibrating across infinite intelligence's ether, as in Vedic Akasha chronicles, or modern noetic sciences, probing non-local consciousness. Sixth sense, the awakened chakra, beholding unity, as in shamanic summoning plant teachers, or Hill's own evolved practice of invisible. Those nocturnal convocations, where ethereal forms of departed greats convened in his inner sanctum, offering tailored guidance. Their presence is palpable in meditative trance, yielding actionable revelations. A technique paralleling automatic script of spiritualist seances, or active imagination, dialoguing with archetypes, yet grounded in pragmatic success counsel, inviting speculation of genuine psychic openings or masterful subconscious synthesis from lifelong study. And profoundly complementing these heights was the veiled 1938, outwitting the devil's audacious metaphysical drama, its compelled confession exposing not theatrical evil, but insidious vibrational entropy. The devil as principle of negation, thriving in hypnotic rhythms, grooves etched by repetitive fear and drift. Dominating 98% through masterful exploitation of human vulnerabilities. The six primal fears strategically amplified via cultural amplifiers: poverty fear driving hoarding wars, criticism stifling bold expression, ill health breeding psychosomatic chains, lost love spawning possessive shadows, old age evoking uselessness despair, death leveraged into compliance via uncertain afterlives. Secondary tools like envy eroding gratitude, greed perverting ambition, procrastination delaying destiny, anger harmony, all reinforced by institutional drift. Education indoctrinating fixed mindsets over inquiry, religion often peddling guilt over empowerment, media sensationalizing division, the adversary admitting vulnerability solely to definite major purpose wielded with controlled attention, adversity transmuted into advantage, harmonious associations amplifying positivity, times patient compounding of elevated habits, ultimately conceding that rhythmic positive alignment with infinite intelligence renders one impervious. A liberating treatise too radical for its time, potentially alienating ecclesiastical powers or Depression-era seekers clinging to familiar fears. Interred until 2011's resurrection, revealing its prescient critique of systemic negativity, akin to suppressed Essene scrolls, advocating inner light over external law, mirroring Hill's contemporaneous descent into the master metaphysician's audacious peace haven sanctuary. West's devoted assembly applied his doctrines to alchemy's ultimate prize: physical immortality via concentrated thought and lifestyle refinement, the immortal child experiment envisioning collective master mind focus defying cellular decay, as ancient legends of Xi'an, transcendence riding cranes to heavenly realms, or Enoch's translation without death. Opulent rituals in gilded halls, blending daily affirmations with esoteric nutrition, amid sensational press, portraying eccentric cultism, yet embodying the philosophy's logical extreme, where unlimited belief manifests boundless outcomes. The projects unraveling through fiscal scandals and custody upheavals, underscoring manifestation's perils when untethered from ethical grounding or practical harmony. Hill's withdrawal leaving enigmatic traces in biographical shadows, suggesting profound, if perilous exploration of mindsets' outer limits. Later chapters granting quieter harbors through companionship amid broadcast ventures, and Stone's vast positive attitude empires scaling principles into corporate and personal transformation before philosophical divergences. Foundations enduring stewardship, navigating legal tempests over intellectual heirs. His 1970 serene departure, sealing a legacy of luminous contradiction. Inspirer of multitudes, yet navigator of deceptions. Preacher of harmony amid relational storms. Revealer of ancient modern laws through mortal frailties. Yet indelibly vital in contemporary awakenings where epigenetic studies affirm thought's gene expression influence. Mindfulness research validates autosuggestion's stress reduction. Social network analyzes quantify mastermind leverages. Coherence HeartMath echoes vibrational alignment. In a fragmented digital age beset by infinite distraction and manufactured fears, providing an elixir of intentional creation. Hermetic causation reborn as quantum possibility collapse through observation. A tranquil eternal compass, gidding towards self-sovereignty, where desire aligned with definite purpose births realities anew, inviting ever gentler breaths. Softer relaxation as these interwoven revelations from antiquity to modernity cradle your consciousness into nights profound. Healing repose where your own inner alchemist may stir in dreams of boundless potential. As the celestial weave of Napoleon, Hill's extraordinary and enigmatic saga unfurls, yet deeper into the starlit archives of human aspiration, where the rugged Virginia soils of his 1883 origins held not only the seeds of earthly struggle, but the dormant echoes of the perennial philosophy, that great chain linking Pythagorean harmonies to Platonic ideals. Vedic Atman to Hermetic all is mind. Truth's hill would distill through the alembic of his own tempestuous existence into a philosophy accessible to the modern seeker, his path illuminated by persistent rebirths from deceptions and downfalls. The Carnegie Commission, now recognized in scholarly circles as a masterful narrative device, absent from verifiable records, yet potent in its mythic resonance, like the forged yet influential donation of Constantine lending authority to medieval claims. His journey through labyrinths of legal shadows and entrepreneurial pyres, each warrant evaded, and venture collapsed an initiatory ordeal, mirroring the greater mystery's symbolic death yielding enlightened vision, forging resilience as the master key unlocking destiny's gates, manifesting in the enduring architectures of his literary temples, where the law of success erected vast colonnades of principle and think and grow, rich, raised a golden dome of 13 transcendent steps. Desire the sacred hearth flame, not fleeting fancy, but the consecrated yajna fire of ancient Aryan rites, consuming impurities to birth manifestation. Faith, the mystical anamnesis, recollecting soul's divine origin, as in Orphic tablets gidding the deceased to declare, I am a child of earth and starry heaven. Autosuggestion, the disciplined sadhana of repeated imprinting samskaras upon, as in yogic psychology's transformation of mental grooves. Specialized knowledge, the hieratic wisdom selectively revealed in successive degrees from Isis's veiled sanctuaries to craft lodges. Imagination, the theurgic faculty invoked in Neoplatonic ascent, visualizing divine emanations to draw down celestial powers. Organized planning, the cosmic symmetry of sacred geometry, underlying temple designs from Giza to Chartres. Decision, the Vajra thunderbolt of Indra shattering hesitation's chains. Persistence, the flow of Ganges purifying through eternal motion. Mastermind, the sublime Sangha, or sacred assembly, where aligned intentions generate amplification, as in Tibetan circles raising inner heat through collective visualization, or Sufi zikr gatherings, harmonizing hearts in divine remembrance. Sex transmutation, the conserving redirecting upward to as in promised cities, from conserved vital force, or Western esoteric great work, uniting sun and moon in alchemical. Subconscious, the laden storehouse reshaped by inquiry, as in Advaita, Vedanta's dissolution of ego veils, or the fertile chaos from which Hesiod's Gaia birthed order. Brain, the yantra-like receiver of vibrations, as in Rishi Seers downloading Vedic hymns from ether or modern. Remote viewing protocols tapping non-local fields. Sixth sense, the fully awakened lotus beholding unity, as in Kundalini's final piercing, or the apotheosis of Delphi's Pythoness channeling Apollo's unerring truth. Revelation's hill lived through his invisible practice, those profound meditative convocations, summoning archetypal presences of history's giants for intimate dialogue, their counsel shaping decisions in tangible ways, a method echoing ancient necromantic evocations, tempered by pragmatic intent, or the active imagination techniques of bridging sensible and realms. And inextricably bound to this esoteric ascent was the daring 1938, outwitting the devil's metaphysical tribunal. Its dramatic yet revelatory exchange, compelling the archetypal adversary to disclose his empire of subtle negation. Not dramatic malice, but the entropy of unapplied potential, ruling through hypnotic rhythms, inexorable grooves carved by unchallenged fear and aimless drifting, commanding 98% via sophisticated exploitation of primal vulnerabilities, amplified through cultural channels. The six core fears masterfully weaponized alongside envy, greed, and procrastination. Institutions unwittingly or wittingly serving as vectors. Education often programming fixed limits over boundless inquiry. Organized religion sometimes trading empowerment for compliance through guilt paradigms. Societal structures rewarding conformity over creative defiance, yet yielding utterly to the disciplined application of definite purpose. Environmental mastery, adversity alchemy, harmonious alliances, and rhythmic elevation toward infinite intelligence. A text too potent for its era's fragile psyches, sealed away like certain Dead Sea fragments, challenging prevailing orthodoxies, until 2011's unveiling affirmed its timeless diagnosis of drift and remedy of deliberate alignment, mirroring Hill's own bold immersion in the master metaphysician's visionary enclave, where collective faith sought to manifest the ultimate transmutation, physical immortality through unwavering application of his principles. The immortal child, a modern echo of alchemical homunculus creation or Taoist fetal breathing techniques for rebirth in the same body. Lavish yet sincere rituals amid palatial surroundings, drawing sensational scrutiny, yet embodying the philosophy's boundless promise and inherent peril when absolute belief meets material limits without ethical or practical anchors. The experiment's dissolution in legal and financial tempests, underscoring manifestation's dual nature as both liberator and potential deceiver. Hill's graceful withdrawal preserving his broader mission through later stable unions, broadcast outreach, and Stone's vast positive mental attitude networks scaling principles into mainstream curricula before philosophical partings. The Foundation's vigilant guardianship, weathering inheritance storms. His 1970 gentle transition at 87, enshrining a legacy of profound paradox. Visionary, whose insights uplifted millions, yet whose path wound through fabrications. Harmonist amid personal discords. Ancient wisdom's modern herald through contemporary frailties. Yet eternally relevant as neuroscience maps visualizations rewiring. Social psychology quantifies group synergies. Quantum interpretations suggest observer-shaped reality. Heart coherence research validates emotionalized thoughts' field effects in our epoch of algorithmic and manufactured anxieties, offering a sovereign antidote of conscious creation. Hermetic law reborn as intentional quantum participation, where thought aligned with definite purpose collapses possibility into actuality. An everlasting luminous sanctuary inviting deeper exhalations. Profounder relaxation as these interwoven eternal truths cradle your essence into night's boundless. Rejuvenating embrace where your own latent mastery may awaken in visions of limitless horizon. As the resplendent mosaic of Napoleon Hill's timeless odyssey glimmers ever onward through the veiled sanctuaries of human potential, where the humble Appalachian cradle of his 1883 emergence cradled not merely a child of poverty, but a vessel for the perennial flame, that undying threading through Sufi hearts, Kabbalistic trees of life, and non-dual awareness, thought as the primordial architect of all form as echoed in the Tat Thou Art That. Principles Hill through alchemical transmutation of adversity into enlightenment amid a lifetime woven with luminous revelations and shadowed enigmas. His narrative enhancements culminating in the Carnegie archetype, scholarly dissections now affirming its crafted essence, devoid of archival anchors, yet radiant in symbolic potency, like the mythic emerald tablet itself, emerging from legend to guide seekers, sustaining his pilgrimage across valleys of repeated dissolution and ascent. Each fraudulent shadow and collapsed empire a sacred mirroring's descent to underworld stripping layers for rebirth or the dark night of John of the Cross yielding divine union, ordeals distilling the essence of indefatigable will as portal to infinite intelligence, manifesting eternally in his magisterial edifices, where the law of successes, expansive mandala of principles encircled seekers, with holistic guidance, while think and grow riches path, offered a direct ascent. Desire the consecrated grail quest, not superficial craving, but the bhakti devotion of ecstatic longing merging individual with divine will. Faith, the agnostic assent, knowing rather than blind belief, as in the Gospel of Thomas's hidden sayings promising kingdom within. Autosuggestion, the mala repetition of sacred mantras, seeding subconscious soil, as in self-inquiry, dissolving into Atman. Specialized knowledge, the graduated of Hesychast prayer ladder, or alchemical opus stages from 2. Imagination, the eidetic vision of shamanic journeying shaping spirit worlds into manifest form, or Blake's prophetic seeing infinity in a grain of sand. Organized planning, the Dharma wheel's eightfold path, harmonizing right view with right action for enlightened fruition. Decision, the flash of Zen Satori, cutting through dualistic delusion with sword of prajna wisdom. Persistence, the heart, endurance of bodhisattva vow, enduring for all beings' liberation. Mastermind, the sacred mandala of enlightened assembly, where collective sadhana generates Shakti amplification, as in circles recognizing innate awareness or Quaker silent meetings, awaiting inner light's communal guidance. Sex transmutation, the sublimation conserving for radiance, as in yoga, promised Vajra body, or union transcending polarity for star-born consciousness. Subconscious, the etheric sky painted with impressions reshaped by discrimination, as in Kashmir's vibration recognizing Shiva in all movement. Brain, the antenna receiving downloads, as in seers beholding visions, or modern consciousness research probing morphic fields. Sixth, sense, the fully blossomed samadhi, spontaneous, natural, abiding in non-dual presence, as in I am that pointing, or the Delphic know thyself, unveiling Apollonian clarity. Insight's hill through his invisible communion. Those profound inner retreats where archetypal essences of luminaries manifested in vivid dialogue, offering precise counsel beyond ego's grasp. A practice echoing Sufi guidance from unseen realms, or the imaginal dialogues of Henry's angelic presences bridging worlds. And indelibly intertwined was the audacious 1938, outwitting the devil's esoteric tribunal. Its revelatory inquisition, unveiling negativity, not as external demon, but as vibrational inertia of unmastered mind. Enthroning itself through hypnotic rhythms, relentless grooves deepened by unchallenged fear and purposeless meandering, 98% via masterful orchestration of intrinsic frailties culturally. Primal fears, strategically inflamed, alongside envy's corrosion, greed's distortion, procrastination's paralysis, institutional conduits often unwitting accomplices, pedagogy instilling limitation paradigms, spirituality sometimes veiling empowerment in doctrinal fear. The adversary yielding only to unwavering definite purpose allied with attentional sovereignty, adversity's transmutation, harmonious vibrational alliances, and rhythmic ascension into infinite intelligence's flow. A treatise too luminous for its epoch's shadowed consciousness, interred like certain Nag codices preserving gnosis against orthodoxy, until 2011's Liberation affirmed its prescient liberation theology of mindset sovereignty. Resonating with Hill's own radical application amid the master metaphysician's domain, where devoted collective channeled his axioms toward ultimate transcendence, defying mortality itself through unshakable faith and refined living. The immortal child vision, a contemporary parallel to quests for unchanging being or isolation of from sincere yet extravagant ceremonies in aristocratic drawing, worldly yet revealing beliefs, boundless horizon, and inherent guardianship discernment's anchor. The initiative's dissolution through earthly frictions highlighting manifestations, sacred balance of spirit and matter. Hill's serene disengagement preserving his greater dharma through later tranquil unions, outreach transmissions, and Stone's expansive positive attitude mandalas integrating principles into collective transformation before harmonious divergences. The Foundation's eternal vigilance shepherding his flame through temporal tempests. His 1970 peaceful transcendence at 87, enshrining a heritage of sublime paradox. Beacon, whose radiance empowered countless ascents, yet whose vessel navigated mortal tempests. Harmonizer amid relational currents. Perennial wisdom's contemporary oracle through individual imperfections. Yet perennially vital as contemporary inquiries, affirm rebirth through visualization, interpersonal resonance, amplifying collective intelligence. Quantum entanglement hinting, observers' creative participation, heart-brain coherence, validating emotionalized thoughts' field potency. In our era of digital mire and engineered division, offering an unshakable sadhana of conscious co-creation. Hermetic correspondence, reborn as intentional reality, weaving where definite purpose aligned with universal flow births worlds anew, an infinite serene refuge, inviting ever softer surrender. Deeper stillness as these eternal currents from antiquity's depth to modernity's dawn enfold your being in night's vast, healing ocean, where your innate divine spark may ignite in dreams of eternal boundless becoming. As the infinite spiral of Napoleon Hill's transcendent legacy ascends, yet higher into the luminous vaults of collective human evolution, where the modest Virginia soils of his 1883 incarnation nurtured not only a mortal frame, but the living ember of the ageless flame, that eternally reborn through reed flute longing, Laos nameless Tao flowing through all form, and the hermetic caduceus entwining opposites into unified creation. Proclaiming mind as the weaver of destiny's grand tapestry, insights Hill channeled through the crucible of his own odyssey of perpetual renewal amid veils of illusion and revelation. His mythic constructs like the Carnegie commissioning serving as initiatory parables, devoid of literal ledger, yet profound in archetypal resonance, akin to the apocryphal testament of Solomon binding spirits through symbolic authority. Sustaining his sacred pilgrimage across abysses of dissolution and peaks of manifestation, each shadowed venture and radiant rebirth, a holy anabasis echoing Persephone's seasonal return from Hades bearing spring's promise, or the alchemical solve coagula, dissolving base matter to coalesce spiritual gold. Trials as divine tutors, unveiling persistence's sanctum. Eternally enshrined in his sacred scriptures, where the law of success unfolded vast lotus petals of principle, while think and grow rich illuminated the direct jeweled path of 13 gates. Desire the holy vow of the night, errant not transient appetite, but the sacred of Radha's all-consuming union with Krishna, dissolving self in divine purpose. Faith the gnosis of direct knowing, as in the thunder perfect, mind's paradoxical revelations, affirming I am the first and the last. Autosuggestion, the sacred incessant remembrance, reshaping karmic imprints, as in Bhakti Marga's ecstatic chanting merging with Brahman. Specialized knowledge the veiled, progressively unveiled, in tantric circles, or Essene communal of hidden manna. Imagination the Surat Yoga, inner vision, ascending through subtle realms, to Khand eternal truth, or correspondent heavens mirrored in earthly creativity. Organized planning the Taoist Wu-Wei effortless alignment with heaven's mandate, harmonizing yin and yang in perfect timing. Decision the diamond Vajra cut of demons with instantaneous awakening. Persistence the compassion enduring countless kalpas for sentient liberation. Mastermind the divine satsang, where awakened beings radiate collective, as in Ramakrishna's Kali temple gatherings, channeling Shakti torrents, or the Quaker inner light converging into communal revelation. Sex transmutation, the sacred conserving for bliss, as in left-hand paths, transmuting passion into illumination, or conscious love harmonizing centers for higher being. Subconscious, the vast ocean purified by Azingita's direct pointing to unchanging witness, or the dreamtime songlines, eternally creating landscape through ancestral mind. Brain the pineal antenna receiving downloads from realms, as in root race cycles, or modern cetacean consciousness models of telepathy. Sixth sense the spontaneous yoga dissolution into transcendent awareness, as in Upanishad's resonance, or the noetic downloads of inspired geniuses channeling from nous. Realizations Hill lived through his invisible sanctuary, those sacred inner ashram convocations, where luminous presences of archetypal masters convened in palpable communion dispensing wisdom beyond temporal bounds. A practice echoing terma hidden teachings revealed in due time, or the imaginal realm encounters of philosophy, bridging angelic and human, and eternally entwined, was the fearless 1938 outwitting the devil's liberating. Its profound dialogue unveiling negativities, Maya not as separate power, but as Avadir ignorance veiling truth, enthroning itself through Samskara's hypnotic rhythm, deepened by unexamined fear and directionless wandering. Dominating 98% via exquisite manipulation of frailties culturally amplified, primal fears masterfully inflamed, alongside of raga attachment aversion delusion. Worldly dharmas often unwitting vehicles, instilling limitation samskaras, spiritual traditions sometimes cloaking mukti in ritual fear, the great deceiver surrendering solely to karma selfless definite purpose, united with prana mastery, alchemical transmutation, sangha vibrational harmony, and rhythmic ascension into boundless flow, a sadhana too radiant for its epoch's veil, concealed like certain Kashmiri texts, preserving non-dual recognition, until 2011's unveiling affirmed its eternal marga of sovereignty, mirroring Hill's own fearless sadhana amid the master metaphysician's sacred mandya, where devoted applied his toward param mukti, liberation from death itself through unwavering and refinement. The immortal vision, a modern echo of eternal youth teachings or timeless kalpa rejuvenation, earnest yet opulent in palatial purity, drawing scrutiny, yet unveiling's infinite horizon and necessary skidding reins. The parikrama's dissolution through frictions illuminating manifestations, sacred Advaita dance of form and formless. Hill's graceful preserving his dharma through later shanti unions, transmissions, and Stone's vast positive networks integrating into loka transformation before harmonious. The Foundation's guardianship shepherding his through tempests, his 1970 Shanti Samadhi at 87 enshrining of sublime mystery. Bodhisattva whose uplifted souls yet whose navigated currents, harmonizer amid tempests, perennial Jnana's yuga avatar through imperfections, yet eternally prana in contemporary, where affirms darshan rewiring, psychology quantifies satsang leverage. Quantum Advaita hints observers' participation, coherence validates field Shakti, in our Kali Yuga of digital and fear, offering and sadhana of co-creation. Hermetic tat, reborn as intentional Brahman weaving, where aligned with flow births loka anew, and Shanti inviting ever, as these from to your in nights, where your Agni may in of becoming. As the boundless radiance of Napoleon Hill's eternal pilgrimage illuminates, yet horizons of the collective soul's awakening, where the sacred Appalachian cradle of his 1883 manifestation harbored not merely mortal clay, but the resplendent jewel of the ageless Atman, that immutable self, eternally proclaimed in the Siam Brahman, mirrored in the Hermetic microcosm-macrocosm correspondence, and the Sufi Fana annihilation, yielding subsistence in divine reality. Truth's hill incarnated through ceaseless phoenix ascents from Maya's veils of glamour and shadow. His archetypal narratives, like the Carnegie initiation, functioning as skillful means, devoid of historical fixation, yet profound in transmission, akin to the Lotus Sutra's parables veiling ultimate truth for gradual comprehension. His bodhisattva-like traversal across samsara's turbulent seas of repeated karma and liberating jnana. Each veiled enterprise and luminous re-emergence, a divine echoing Krishna's rasa dance weaving illusion into revelation, or the tantric vibration pulsing creation from Shiva's stillness. Karmic refinements distilling the param of applied faith as gateway to, forever enshrined in his treatises, where the law of success bloomed as the vast bodhi tree, sheltering myriad paths, while think and grow rich, revealed the chakra of 13 radiant spokes, slicing through Avadir's bonds. Desire the not mundane karma, but the Krishna bhakti of a longing dissolving individuality in universal. Faith the of direct, as in Gita's relentless affirmation of non-dual Satchitananda, autosuggestion the contemplative absorption imprinting Brahma upon, as in purification of mind, for specialized knowledge, the transmission unveiled in Guru Shishya from silent teaching to modern Advaita Vedanta revivals. Imagination, the Shakti of Maya Shakti harnessed as creative play manifesting from seed, or wisdom birthing divine ideas into form, organized planning the karma yoga of Gita's alignment within cosmic harmony, decision the neti-neti negation slicing ego as in thunderous pointers, persistence the of enduring through yugas as in sustaining. Mastermind the divine guru mandala, where enlightened resonance generates Shakti, as in Sri circles invoking Devis, or the harmonious quorums of early Christian agape feasts, channeling Holy Spirit. Sex transmutation, the of Siddha Yoga, conserving for and effulgence, as in promising or Reich's orgone sublimation into higher functioning. Subconscious, the causal body, purified by as in's exploration, or the ancestral songlens, eternally dreaming country into being. Brain, the chakra command center, receiving as in yogic yielding prajna illumination, or noetic sciences, mapping non-local intuition. Sixth sense, the samadhi absorption into Brahman, as in yoga's dissolution, yielding natural abiding, or the spontaneous gnosis of recognition. Realization's hill manifested through his invisible sadhana. Those inner guru darshans, where Maha appeared in Anta, offering beyond Mana's limitations. Echoing Bhakti Sutra's devotional communion, or the Of's realm uniting subtle and gross. And forever interwoven was the liberating 1938, outwitting the devil's discourse. Its profound satsang, unveiling Maya's deception not as opponent, but as veiling, establishing sway through hypnotic rhythm deepened by of fear, and captivating 98% via manipulation of doshas culturally, masterfully agitated alongside. Institutions often, sometimes instilling some skara of limitation. Dharma paths occasionally veiling moksha in paradigms. The Maha conceding solely to united with manas, alchemy, sadhu sangha resonance, and into ocean. A Jainana grunter too for its yugas concealed like certain Aranyaka portions preserving Brahma until 2011's affirmed its sadhana of sovereignty. Resonating with Hill's own application amid the master metaphysicians, where Bhakta channeled his toward transcendence of through, and the Amara a contemporary parallel to Dharma's immortals or yogis through mastery, in drawing yet unveiling Bhakti's vista, and the Yatras through manifestations Advaita of, and Hills preserving his Param Dharma through Shanti, and Stone's positive integrating into before Samaras, the foundations shepherding his through Chakra, his 1970 Mahasamadhi at 87 of Param, who's navigated, harmonizer amid, Jainana's Kali Yuga through, yet in where affirms. Manas quantifies satsang, quantum Advaita observers, validates, in our Kali of digital Maya and offering of hermetic reborn as where aligned with Param Loka, and Shanti inviting Ati, Param as these from to your in nights, Maha where your Param Agni may in of Amara. As the boundless effulgence of Napoleon Hill's legacy radiates, yet deeper into the of collective Smaha, where the of his 1883 in Virginia's cradled not only are in, but the of that eternally proclaimed in the Brahma consciousness is Brahman, reflected in the hermetic axiom of mental universe, and the Tawheed of Sufi perfection in witnessing divine presence. Jainana Hill avatara through from Maya's veils of glamour and into, and he's like the Carnegie serving as Bodhi, devoid of yet in Dharma, akin to the avatara of revealing cosmic preservation through symbolic narratives, sustaining his sadhana across samsaras of karma and mukti marga, each and a param mirroring Rama's exile yielding ultimate, or the tantric Shakti pulsing Jagat from Shiva's, refinements distilling param of as too, in his Vedantic grunter, where the law of success as kalpa sheltering marga, while think and grow rich the chakra of 13 slicing. Desire the Maha of not karma, but the Param Bhakti of Samadhi dissolving in Radha Krishna Rasa. Faith the Param of Jainana, as in Brahman Gita's Tat direct darshan. Autosuggestion the Manana of Advaita Vedanta imprinting Brahma upon as insfor. Specialized knowledge the unveiled in from Snama or Skuru transmission. Imagination the Shakti of manifesting from Jainana Shakti, as in reflection birthing, or etheric formative forces shaping living form. Organized planning, the cosmic order of rishis aligning yajna with loka dharma. Decision, the prajna of severing avidya grunti, as in heart sutras, gate realization. Persistence, the dhyana of enduring through yuga, as in Shiva sutras, rising of divine energy. Mastermind, the param satsang mandala, where bodhi resonance generates mahashakti, as in tantric feasts, invoking, or the harmonious circle of apostles receiving Pentecostal fire. Sex transmutation, the conserving kundalini for Brahma piercing, as in Siddha sadhana promising Amara, or descent transforming cells. Subconscious, the samskara purified by tapa, as ins through, or the eternal dreaming of Alcharinga's ancestors weaving time. Brain, the receiving, as in rishis downloading from more modern research, mapping light emissions. In sixth sense, the samadhi abiding in, as in Gita's Advaita, or the great perfection of naturalness. Hill, through his Anta Guru ashram. Those Anta darshan, where Mahasiddha in offering beyond manas, a mirroring Guru yoga merging with mind, or the encounters of Sheikh, unveiling angelic hierarchies, and was the 1938 outwitting the devil's Param Upanishad, its Mayas not as Shakti but as veiling Param, sway through steepened by of and 98% via dosha, Param agitated alongside Raga, Loka often, instilling samskara, Marga sometimes veiling moksha in, the Maha conceding only to united with. Rasa Yantra alchemy, Sangha, and into Brahma. A Jnana Agama too, for its yuga is veiled like certain Agama preserving non-dualism until 2011's Maha affirmed its of Jnana. With Hill's own sadhana amid the master metaphysicians where Param Bhakta channeled his Jnana toward Param. Through, and the Amara are parallel to Mahabharatas or Sri Skalpa through Param. In drawing yet, since Marga, the sadhana through illuminating self. Hill's Param preserving his Mahadharma through Shanti Sangha, and Stone's positive integrating Jnana into Loka Maha before, the foundations shepherding his through Chakra, his 1970 Param Samadhi at 87, of whose Avatara navigated Yogi amid, Param Jnana's Kali through, yet Prana in Maha where affirms, quantifies Satsang Maha, quantum Advaita observers Jagat, validates Shakti, in our Kali of digital and offering of Param. Hermetic reborn as where aligned with Param Loka, and Shanti inviting Ati, Param as these from Gupta to your Param in nights, Maha where your Param may Maha in of Amara Param. This mysterious journey ends here, but stay tuned for more untold stories in our next video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new stories.